You chose right tuning in to Rwanda Television. Good evening and welcome to our edition tonight. This is what is coming up. In the last 5 years, the number of public buses in Kigali city has declined by more than 30% as the number of passengers is rising daily. The ministry in charge of emergency management noted that reducing the impact of disasters requires the cooperation between various institutions. A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa. And as we kick it off, in the last 5 years, the number of public buses in Kigali city has declined by more than 30% as the number of passengers is increasing daily. Adam Squizera starts us off tonight with this report.
Passengers are keeping complaining about poor public transportation services in Kigali city. They don't have enough buses. Meanwhile, we go to bus parks and we don't even find them. The Ministry of Infrastructure affirms that in the last 5 years, the number of public buses in Kigali city has decreased by 32% from 475 buses in 2018 to 327 in 2023. Dr. Ernest Sayumana explains the reason behind this. From 2018 to 2020, there have been the decrease in number of buses. Meanwhile, the issue which we found, there was no proper management of these public buses, which wasn't followed up regarding to the other issues they faced. The public transport companies say that this problem has reached at peak during the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine, according to Twahirwa Innocent, Director of Jari Transport. Let's say, for example, the bus from China to Dar es Salaam was normally costing $2,000 and now you find it is costing $15,000 for only one bus. But later it decreased, where now it's about to $8,000. But then you understand that affected the importation of those buses where the production cost itself didn't reduce. Plus another factor that we are not among the VAT refunds. All these are among of the key points we've been discussing with the responsible authorities so that they can make some incentives, as we hope that it can be help for the private investors in buying a bus without any government intervention. The Commission of Customs Services in Rwanda Revenue Authority, Mumfaneza Farcier, noted down about the issue which was raised by the transport companies regarding to taxes.
Impamvu ngewe mbona ikomeye nuko itegeko ryo rigena ibyicaro imodoka ifite.
The important reason is that the law governs some seats of the bus is the one which we follow. As to when we say 25 seats, we don't include the driver's seats. The number of public buses in the Kigali city continues to decrease, while its demand is also growing daily, referring this to the population census, which showed that the city of Kigali is now having more than 1.7 million residents. Meanwhile, in the recent Musician National Council, the Ministry of Infrastructure announced that they are going to add more than 300 buses in Kigali city, hence to solve this issue. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
The chairperson of the National Council of Namibia, Right Honorable Lucas Sinimbo Moha, is in Rwanda for a study tour for 5 days, where he says that there is a lot that he and the delegation are going to learn from Rwanda that will improve the functioning of the National Council of Namibia. Betty Mutoni.
It is a discussion that took almost 4 hours. The chairperson of the National Council of Namibia, Lucas Nimbo Muha, with the president of Rwandan Senate, Dr. Kalinda Francois Xavier, focused on the functioning of the Senate itself and the way it works hand in hand with the national parliament. The chairperson of the National Council of Namibia noted that there is a lot to learn from Rwanda's Senate.
We may not just solely be proud of what we do back home in Namibia, but we can also learn good practices from other countries, from other parliaments, and from other jurisdictions. Through that, we can also see how we can best amend what we have as our legislations as the guiding documents that guides the processes of the activities that we do at Parliament. Number one, how it is constituted, the function of the Senate, and the general operation of the Senate. So to us, the general ideas that we have learned will then give us an opportunity to infuse the applicable ones and appropriate ones into our existing legislation.
Allow me to introduce
The president of Rwandan Senate, Honorable Dr. Kaninda Francois Xavier, says that they are planning to sign a cooperation agreement between the two countries following the good relationship between Rwanda and Namibia.
Namibia ni igihugu cy'inshuti y'u Rwanda ndetse
Namibia is a friendly country to Rwanda, and our presidents visited each other 2 times. Our president visited them, and their president visited us too 2 times. There are other partnerships between the police of both countries. So when it comes to sharing ideas, most of the time we agree.
ko tutanga ibitekerezo muri iyo miryango.
The chairperson of the National Council of Namibia, Honorable Lucas Nimbomuha, also visited Kigali Genocide Memorial, where he was explained the way genocide against Tutsi was planned and implemented, killing more than 1 million people in 100 days.
Africa has lost innocent lives. What had happened had happened. The rest of this and the generation to come should now promote peace, and peace should be the only word that should be pronounced by Africa.
On Tuesday, 28th March 2023, the chairperson of the National Council of Namibia is expected to visit the Campaign Against Genocide Museum as well as various leaders in his study tour. Betty Mutoni, RwandaTV News.
The ministry in charge of emergency management noted that reducing the impact of disasters requires the cooperation between various institutions.
During this winter season, various places across the country have been experiencing heavy rainfall for the past 2 weeks, which has caused disasters that are destroying houses, among others, as some residents points out the loss they faced.
Aha turi mu gishanga gusa hari amazi yarafite.
Here we are in the swamp, but there was a path which was made for water. Unfortunately, the path was small as it was also damaging the road, and then they diverted it into the swamp, and there is also water coming from the mountains, which is also causing us problems.
Ariko namwe atambutse ku kararo kari hari haruguru niyo mazi baroshyemo hano kenshi naduteza ibibazo.
The cooperation with various institutions is mentioned as a keynote to deal with the consequences of disasters, even if there are some that can be avoided. The Minister of Emergency Management, Kaisire Marie Solange, also points on the benefits that can rise from this cooperation with all institutions.
Iyo umuntu akora nk'umuhanda ntatekereza aho amazi azajya bishobora gutera ibiza.
When a person constructs a road without thinking about the water paths, it can cause a disaster. When an investor builds a house without installing a lightning rod, the house can be hit by lightning anytime. Meanwhile, disasters can take a lot of things. That's why we all came together to help them, but otherwise everyone is going to do what they are supposed to do, which can reduce the excess work we do during emergency operations.
Agomba gukora neza byatugabaniriza uburyo tujya mu butabazi.
Ahmaren Karim, the Deputy Director of United Nations World Food Programme, noted that WFP works closely with other institutions in preventing the effects of disasters.
All of which several UN agencies have mandate and responsibility. So the deployment of capacities, of expertise, the convening of platforms where member states come together to share information so they can compare notes and learn from each other. The offering of training and capacities for staff of various ministries and institutions are part of the broader area of support that the United Nations system provides to Rwanda, but also to other member states.
This cooperation concerns all institutions, according to Ozonia Ogielo, the United Nations resident coordinator in Rwanda.
We know disasters are going to happen, so we are working with the Ministry of Emergency Management to make sure that disaster risk response, disaster risk reduction is mainstreamed across all the sectors at the government level as well as at the local level with the communities and at the district level.
This meeting brought together various institutions, including the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, environmental protection officials, the private sector, local government representatives, and UN agencies working in Rwanda. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
The Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy has urged parents to work hand in hand with educators to teach their children Rwandan values in a bid to preserve the Rwandan cultural values. Isabel Masozera.
Some of the students have expressed interest in learning Rwandan cultural values. I embody values such as politeness in order to live well with others in the Rwandan community. The Director General, Rwanda Basic Education Board, REB, unpacks the role of teaching Rwandan cultural values in problem solving.
We are leveraging the school curriculum and training teachers. We are also keeping in mind that those serving in this field have been trained. However, we are promising to continue increasing the trainings in order to reach more people.
The Director General, Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy, Robert Masozera, reiterated that in addition to the lessons scholars receive at school, they also need attention at the family level, cautioning parents against excessive exposure to technology.
Today, the culture of being raised by parents and extended family has been replaced by gadgets portraying Western culture. We want to remind the Rwandan community that this is not appropriate.
On Monday, a competition designed to educate scholars about Rwandan cultural values brought together students in high schools across the country to showcase their knowledge of the Rwandan cultural values.
Proceeding with matters related to sports, on Monday at the BK Arena, there was the closing ceremony of the East African Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization Games, which were being hosted here in Rwanda. The closing ceremony of this competition was followed by a final match in handball between Rwanda and Uganda, as Rwanda won the trophy for the fourth time in a row. The representative of the team of Tanzania in these games, Jonas Mahanga, noted that they learned many lessons from Rwanda generally during these particular games. While closing the ceremony also, the Minister of Interior in Rwanda, Alfred Gasana, appreciated the countries that participated in these particular games. In the 13 games that were contested, Rwanda won 8 games and finished first with 6 points. Kenyan team came in second place, and Uganda came in the third place. On behalf of the entire news production as well as the technical team, thank you for being with us on this edition of Rwanda Television News. Up until next time, stay safe and have a fruitful week ahead. Goodbye.